Mic check 1 2. It's the Y2K collector, and there's been so much controversy around this upcoming release of the Marvel vs. Capcom collection. And someone commented on one of my videos. They said you forgot Marvel superheroes, and you're right, I did forget to mention this one because I do have this one in my collection as well. But the collection will also include the Marvel superheroes game. I have the original that came out on the PlayStation 1, just because I am a sucker for retro video games. And that's part of what I wanted to talk about today, because I'm starting to think, I'm getting a lot of mixed reviews, but I did want to point out one thing that I thought was mentioned that was pretty interesting. So one of the commenters on my channel, and forgive me, I can't remember your handle, but he basically made the statement that the biggest reason why we didn't see these games ported to the Switch and to the PlayStation 1 in the past is because of all the licensing issues between Capcom and Marvel, who's now owned by Disney. And I think there were just a lot of issues getting the licensing rights to have these games put on like the PlayStation 4 and the Nintendo Switch. But the commenter made the comment that usually licenses like these aren't like given in perpetuity, meaning that there will be an expiration date on the license for some of these games, and they'll eventually be delisted from their online stores, and you won't be able to download them or play them like in the long-term future. So the only way that you'll really be able to play and keep these games is if you do happen to purchase the physical copy of the Marvel vs. Capcom collection, whether it be on the PlayStation 4. From what I understand, it's not going to get a physical release on the Nintendo Switch right away. I know there are hopes that it does get a physical release on the Nintendo Switch, but right now I know for sure it's going to get a PS4 physical release. So it's really interesting, that comment that they made, because if what that commenter said was true, well, man, that's gonna drive the value of things even crazier, because now you're looking at the actual PS4 and Switch versions being expensive because they're limited, and it's just gonna make the originals even more, based on his theory, right? Based on his theory. So we don't know if that's the case. I know I've gotten a lot of comments that the prices of these games are gonna go down into the toilet, and I said it in one of my last videos, and I'll say it again. If the prices on these retro games go down, that's good news to me, because that means for me it's gonna be an even easier time for me to collect more of these games that I don't have in my collection currently. So in a sense, I'm kind of hoping that, and not just in relation to Marvel versus Capcom, but any game that I don't have in my collection that's ridiculously priced right now, I hope that those games go down. I hope that they come out with a re-release of Klonoa that will allow me to get the PlayStation version for less than $300, because that game is crazy right now. I'd love to get a copy of Klonoa on the PlayStation 1. Why? Because when I was 12 and my brother was in his 20s, and I had gotten a PlayStation from saving up lunch money, and the only game I think I had was like Mega Man X, my brother let me borrow his original copy of Klonoa, and I played that game every single day until I finally beat it. So Klonoa has a special place in my heart, but it's a very expensive game, but it's a game that I would love to get. I do have it downloaded on my PlayStation Vita, but because it's so daggone expensive, I don't have a physical version in my PlayStation collection. But I would love to have one, but it's just too expensive. So please, I hope that they remake Klonoa. I mean, I think there was already a Klonoa remake done, but I don't think it really impacted the price of the original Klonoa, despite them coming out with a remake. But I would love for them to come out with a Klonoa remake that actually does bring that price down, because I don't think that price has come down enough. And I think the same could be said with games like Tail Concerto. Tail Concerto is a game that came out on the PlayStation 1, which is another game that I would love to play. I'd love to try that game on the PlayStation 1. I don't have as fond of a memory with that game as I do for a game like Klonoa, but that too is a very, very expensive game, but I would love to try it out and give it a run. It looks like a very cool game. It has kind of like Misadventures of Tron Bonne feels, and I would love to get that. And then Misadventures of Tron Bonne is another game that I hope that they remake and port to the PlayStation 4, to the Switch, so that the price of the original does come down, and so that I can get a chance to get it, because these games are very expensive. I hate the fact that they're that expensive, and I would love to be able to get them, but they're just so far out of my range. And there's a whole host of games that fall into that category. You got games like KO Flying Squadron on the Sega CD. I would love to get a copy of that game, but it's over $2,000. Or, you know, just games all over the place, right? And we could make this argument for games everywhere. But I think the bigger question is if every game were to get a re-release or a port to modern systems, would it tank the price of retro games? And I want to say no. Because I think that the value and the price of these games are based on more than just people being able to play them or access them. Because if that was the case, emulation would have destroyed the value of retro games a long time ago, right? But there are other factors that cause these retro games to stay high in value, and I think it's for a reason that's probably most pertinent to me, and that's nostalgia. There's a nostalgia factor that comes into play when you play these retro games on their original hardware. It's a feeling. Nostalgia is a feeling. It's really difficult to quantify, but factually, it's proven to be such a powerful feeling. You know, I was reading either watching a documentary or reading an article, but they say that nostalgia, the feeling of nostalgia, has the ability to actually warm you up. Like your body temperature increases when you feel nostalgic, and there's just that, and I think it feeds a certain level of dopamine, and I think that's why it's so addicting, and I think that's why people love that feeling. And nostalgia can come from a lot of things: a favorite song, a favorite sweater, a favorite place that you like to visit. Cars can give you the feeling of nostalgia, certain electronics, you know, furniture. There's so many things that can evoke feelings of nostalgia. And it just so happens that video games tends to be one of the most powerful ones, especially for young men, for young women as well. But for a lot of young men, video game nostalgia takes you back to a very carefree place. It takes you back to a place where you didn't have bills, where you didn't have responsibilities, where you knew that you could come home and play video games until you smelled the food that your mom was making, and you knew it was going to be dinner time, and you knew she was going to tell you, put the game down and come eat. And you scarfed your dinner down so you could go back and keep playing. And it gives you those feelings that you felt on Friday nights when you knew you didn't have school the next morning, so you could literally pull an all-nighter trying to beat a game. You know, you get these nostalgic feelings of waiting online to pick up a physical copy of a game that you really wanted for a long time, or standing outside Blockbuster until they open so that you can go rent a new game that's just too much for your parents to buy. Or maybe you rented that game that was rated M, so you had to pick it up from Blockbuster, you know, or maybe get one of your friends to take you so they could, you know, use their ID to get it for you. But there's so many feelings of nostalgia that come from video games, because it, you know, depending on how early or how young you were when you first started playing video games, you know, that feeling of nostalgia can capture a significant portion of your childhood, going from grade school all the way to your college days, right? If you played games, if you're let's say you're a millennial and you started with the Super Nintendo and you kept going all the way until, I don't know, say the PlayStation 2, that's a lot of time. That's a lot of years. That's at least a decade of playing video games, and a significant portion of your childhood. So, you know, it's for those reasons that I think that these things are going to stay somewhat in the realm of where they are as in terms of price. Perhaps when nostalgia no longer matters, that's when we'll probably see a significant price drop. But for now, I don't really see it going anywhere. If it does go down, again, I can't wait for it, because then that's going to mean that I'll be able to pick up some of my favorite games. If it doesn't, then I guess unfortunately we have to just deal with the prices. And if we want to play games, and we can emulate or pick up the re-releases, or we can, you know, save up to get that game that you really want. But I think it's different for everyone, and hopefully when the collection does come out, everyone who watches my channel gets an opportunity to pick it up if that's a type of game that you're into and you get to enjoy. Now, I did want to talk about GameStop real quick before I let you all go, because I was able to pop in there and pick up a few really cool items that I wanted to get. The first one being this pretty much brand new. They had a pretty, and I say it's brand new because it's still got like the little tape on it and stuff, but GameStop had one of these Wii like Pro controllers for the original Nintendo Wii. And I've been looking for one of these OEM controllers for a really long time, because there are certain fighting games that I have on the Wii, including Tatsunoko versus Capcom, as well as other action-based hack and slash games. That's what a lot of my Wii library consists of, and a lot of those games are compatible with this type of controller. So this is a very comfortable controller for the Wii, and I was really glad to be able to pick this up for about 12 bucks at GameStop. So this is a really good find. It's almost brand new. I'm sure it's super cheap if you look for these on eBay. This isn't anything like exclusive or special, but in my opinion, when you get it, especially when you get it in like nearly brand new condition, this was a great pickup. And you're probably seeing the reflection of Space Megaforce. I've been playing Space Megaforce to death. I love that game. It's a very fun game on the Super Nintendo, an awesome shoot 'em up. If you've never heard of Space Megaforce, you gotta check it out. I cleared Area 4, but I lost all my power-ups, so I keep getting blasted out of the sky. So hopefully I can make it past Area 4, but I gotta pause right now. But anyway, pick this up. Really cool to find that. The second retro pickup that I was able to get my hands on, I'm pretty stoked about. So I've been on a working designs kick, and my local GameStop had the Arc the Lad collection at GameStop. Now, they had every single disc, and every disc is in, I'm not going to take it out because it's a lot to take it out, but every disc is in mint condition, like perfect condition. I'm starting to think the person that had this, maybe, I don't know, maybe they got a rental or something, or I don't know how, but they had all of these discs. So they have all the discs. It also came with the Arc the Lad collection manual, and then it also came with the box. But the unfortunate thing is that the box is actually empty. Now, I know it comes with like I think it comes with like a special memory card and like a pin set and a few other extras that come along with it, along with the game case as well as the box. But they had this at GameStop for 40 bucks, which I thought was a really good deal. The Arc the Lad collection, when you have it complete, goes for around 300 to 330 bucks. When you just have like all the discs, the manual, and the box, this is probably on its face, that's probably only worth about 90. So I still paid roughly less than half of what it would cost in this current condition. But I am hoping to be able to find just like a case, and then the bigger box that it all goes into eventually. It is a pretty cool RPG on the PlayStation 1, and one that I'm going to be keeping my eye out for whenever I go into retro game stores. I know a lot of times I've seen like the Arc the Lad collection incomplete. Like usually I'll see like the case, but it'll be missing a disc here and there, because there's like 6 discs included with this collection. So hopefully I'm able to Frankenstein this together for a very low cost and keep it in my collection there. So those are some of the retro pickups that I've been able to make. It's been pretty good in June so far. I've been able to pick up some pretty cool stuff. I was able to find Lunar 2, Arc the Lad, and a few other gems that I have added to the collection. But let me know what you've been able to find. Let me know what you think about the thought process around nostalgia and its impact on retro game prices. You know, should we just expect all retro games to drop? And if so, if all of the prices for retro games were to drop tomorrow, which would be the first games that you would go and pick up? I'm interested to know. It's the Y2K Collector. Take it easy.